Yesterday we started learning from the Parashat of Yitro, page 70, side A, Amud Daf Ayin Amud Aleph, and we started very generally talking about the chokhmah, the wisdom, the teachings of the structure of the face, the facial structure, what's called chokhmat ha-partzuf. That basically everything on the face, every line, every curve, every part of the face can tell the entire story of the neshama, the history of the neshama, reincarnations, previous lives, character, and so forth. And this information, this knowledge was specifically known to Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon would look at anything and know everything about that, if it was, whether it was an animal, whether a human being, whatever it is. The Adam HaRishon had the ability to see the power of the Kadosh Baruch Hu that creates everything. This chokhmah, this wisdom, was passed down, and specifically it ended up in the hands of Shlomo HaMelech, who took and refined it. And Shlomo HaMelech also had this wisdom, to be able to look at something and know everything about it. That later on, we know also that Arizal had the exact same ability. Arizal would be able to look at the individual and know all their past lives, their entire history of the neshama, needless to say the character, the tikkunim that one needs to do, the sins, everything. So this is called chokhmat ha-partzuf, and it was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai that we mentioned now that had a special prayer to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, requesting him to give him more information so he can give it over and teach it. Why specifically now? Because it says that when Yitro came to Moshe Rabbeinu to the desert, Yitro looked around and says, "What's going on here? Moshe, you're not running your business the right way. You can't take it all on yourself. You're supposed to run the show, and you should appoint yourself people underneath you. You should appoint people underneath them, and make a whole structure to run your show." Moshe Rabbeinu was wondering, how can I do such a thing? Moshe Rabbeinu had a certain problem that he didn't trust anyone. He's like, how can I know somebody will do the right job? So Yitro told him, nope, you have no problem. You are Moshe Rabbeinu. Just look at the faces of the people. You will be able to see everything about them. So we mentioned the pasuk that it says in our parasha. It says, "V'ata techezeh mikol am." You can look in every person, and you'll see who are the right and appropriate people that will be able to be appointed to be the right judges, the right individuals. So we mentioned that there is a pasuk in the book of Bereshit that it says, "Zeh sefer toldot Adam." This is the book of the history of man, referring to like that there is some type of information. Now, not a sefer like a book. Rather, we mentioned that sefer comes from the word sfira. Why? Because the sfirot in the world of Atzilut, they will manifest into the rest of the worlds, all the way down into this world, and the sfirot are holding all the information. And if you know from which sfira your neshama is being rooted, and so forth, then you can know everything. Why is that interesting to us to learn? Because if I know where my neshama is rooted from, then I know what I need to fix. I know what is my tikkun, I know what I need to focus on, I know how to analyze my character traits, my midot, and so forth. So this is Bemed, a very short introduction, recap of what we did yesterday. And we reached to a point that it was Adam HaRishon that was holding this information. It went all the way down specifically to Shlomo HaMelech, and after Shlomo HaMelech came Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and he understood this wisdom. He knew it, but he was requesting from Hashem for much more information. If you remember, it was just yesterday, it should be, we explained one more thing, because I think today is going to start becoming a little bit more, not difficult, but a little bit more deeper. We explained that all the shefa, all the abundance come from all the sfirot, and they funnel into the sfira that is called Yesod. And the Yesod has the ability to transform this shefa and to deliver it in such of a way into the sphere of Malchut that Malchut can actually apply it into the world. And I gave an analogy like a factory, a car factory, that it starts that somebody comes up with a bold idea of making a certain car. This will correspond to the sphere of Chokhmah. Then it's delivered to the engineers, which will be the sphere of Bina that starts developing it. And then it will be delivered to the designers and to the product engineers. That will correspond to that. And then it goes from one department to the other department till it comes to the last department and you have a product. And this will be the sphere of Yesod that is able to transform it, to bring it into the market. And then the market, of course, will be sphere of Malchut, which is in this world. So this is important to remember. So now we continue again. We're on page 70, Amud Daf Ain, Amud Aleph, in the line that it says, Olifna de Moshe itkashe beda. Olifna is, we learned that Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't figure out this wisdom. When Sachakol, after all, Moshe Rabbeinu knew everything. He's the one who got the Torah. If he would know something, then who would? So Moshe Rabbeinu found a little bit of difficulty specifically with this knowledge that is called Chokhmat HaPartzuf. Why? Because we know that Moshe Rabbeinu also came from the sphere of Chokhmah, but this knowledge did not come to him as clear like it came to Adam HaRishon. Because Adam HaRishon, his nature was rooted from the sphere of Chokhmah. And if you remember, we said that Shlomo HaMelech was rooted in the sphere of Yesod. But Moshe Rabbeinu, specifically his neshama, was rooted from Da'at. Even though the etzem of the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu we know comes from the sphere of Chokhmah, but the root of his neshama was specifically from Da'at. So he didn't get it as clear as it came to Adam HaRishon. Ad da'atat shchinta ve'olifat lei, till came the Shechina to Moshe Rabbeinu and taught him. So some individuals like the Arizal, the Baal Shem Tov, and many others, they had what's called the Gilui Eliyahu. Eliyahu Hanavi came and sat with him as a chavruta and told him, is that okay? I'll come at 6 o'clock. We'll sit and have a chat. So Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have home visits from Eliyahu Hanavi. Rather, the Shechina itself would come to Moshe Rabbeinu and teach him. The Shechina came to Moshe Rabbeinu and taught him exactly what he needs to know. Vehi chamat uvrirat lechol inun guvrin deitchazun bepartzufa. Now, the Shechina, she came down and she saw and she sifted all these people that were supposed to be the ministers in the nation of Israel. So basically, the Shechina came and got, so to say, dressed in Moshe Rabbeinu and gave him the ability to look at every partzuf, every face, and to make the difference. Good, not good, good, not good. And was able to answer, so to say, or to guide Moshe Rabbeinu and say who are going to be the ones who are going to be the right individuals to be these sarim, these ministers. If you remember now, it should be fresh in your mind. It's in this parasha, Sarei Alafim, Sarei Meot, Sarei Asarot. They were called Sar. Sar is a minister. But it was a hierarchy of thousands, hundreds, and tens. V'taman olif Moshe de chokhmata da ve'ayel begave. And that's when Moshe Rabbeinu was, so to say, was a passenger. The Shechina came and said, let me help you. You just sit and look. You just observe. So by Moshe observing how the Shechina is doing the sifting, so to say, then he was able to learn it. Now imagine how it looks in the eyes of Moshe Rabbeinu. It doesn't look like our eyes. Rather, it looks like, like a scanning machine. Sometimes you see it in the movies, like a digital view that like a robot will see. And the Shechina was like scanning one face after the other, and details started coming up, like pulling information from some database, and analyzing all this information. And probably if I would have to be a vision director here, I would make it like information is running, I can put in red letters, and then when it fits, it will start blinking in green. Beep, 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 match. There's a match. You know what I mean? And we can start producing here some movies. But nevertheless, the Shechina was sitting on, dwelling on Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu was going one by one and scanning them. The reason why I can relate is because if you remember in my personal experience, when I said in the beginning, when I was like going through buildings and seeing thousands and thousands of people, that's how it looked. It looked like I'm scanning one person after the other, scanning them from top to bottom, seeing everything about them, from their day they were born till that day, all their thoughts, all their emotions, all their memories, and doing them simultaneously, one by one. And thousands and thousands of people. And I knew like as if I knew all their database of their information was transferred to me. And I knew everything from their physical history, from their emotional history, from their thoughts, their feelings, every little detail. And I was like one by one. So I can relate with the idea how Moshe would sit, so to say, in this chair, in the chair that the Shekhinah is dwelling on him, and he suddenly is elevated to a spiritual level that he's able to see all the beings, but not their faces, not their physical structure. Rather, he sees the inside and knows exactly who's Emet. Some individuals, we all have poker faces. And the reality is that if we would develop some type of device that can read people, you would see how 99.9% people of the world are fake. It's all fake. What's inside is not what's outside. Very, very few people, what's inside is exactly outside. And sometimes they will be interpreted as rude or vulgar or direct. But at least it says about the Shvatim, they had lev echad ve'peh echad. Whatever was in the heart was also outside. It's very rare to find people that they're so truthful that what they think, what they feel is exactly what will be reflected out. Most people, unfortunately, is not equal. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to see one by one, to see the truth. Very soon Mashiach is going to come. You're not going to be able to fake him. You're not going to be able to somehow hide behind a lie. He's going to be like, come on, I'm Mashiach. What are you talking about? You're trying to fool me? I see everything. I see through walls. You think I buy your shtut? So Moshe Rabbeinu had that ability. V'taman olif Moshe chochmata da ve'al begave. And that's where Moshe Rabbeinu was able to learn this chochmah. He saw how it's done. And not only that, he was able to dwell and to go deep into this chochmah. Hado dichtiv, as it says, v'ata techazeh mikol ha'am. And you will be able to look at every person and see everything about them. And then the script says, Hahu dichtiv be, v'ata hu shnotecha lo itamo. There is a verse in the book of Tehillim, specifically in chapter 102, verse 28. And the verse says, v'ata hu shnotecha lo itamo. You and your years will never end. What does it really mean? That you and your experience, years as referring to experience, will never come to fulfill, to be full. You'll always grow more and more and more. Because how can you measure how much knowledge you have? Is how much years you have time to learn. If I have 100 years to learn, that's how much knowledge I can acquire. I can't acquire more than that. So Moshe Rabbeinu, doesn't matter how many years he lived, 120 years, he had wisdom like as if he would live 120,000 years. Because where would all this knowledge come from? Also, it also says in the book of Nehemiah, Ve'ata mechayeh et kulam. You are enlivening everybody. Of course, this is referring to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that all the souls, and not only the souls, their shape, every soul has a shape, and the shape is, the soul itself doesn't have a shape, but the way it's getting their life form, what's called the chayut, is also referred as a shape. That's why we know that the second part of the neshama, second from the top, is called chaya. Chaya also comes from the word chayut. Chayut is the life force in it. But we know in many teachings in Kabbalah and in Zohar, chaya is also called tselem. Tselem is an image, is a shape. So the soul doesn't have a shape, definitely not colors and shades. But the soul, the way the life force of it comes into action, is translated as a shape. In the digital world or in the computer world, is the source code of the program. If you now looking at, for example, a app, a smartphone app, a computer app, a video game, all these technology, you now seeing just the design. But there's something behind it, there's a source code. Now imagine now you would be able to look at an app and you, instead of seeing the colors and the design, having some type of an ability to see the actual code and how the code is written. And there's different layers of codes. So technology comes to teach us a lot. It's almost like looking now in a website. Look now on a website, you see colors, you see pictures, you see videos. But if you would remove, so to say, the screen, there is a code. Everything is coded. And the code is just letters and symbols and it doesn't even resemble what you see. Yeah. Well, HTML is one level of the code. There's different levels. There's Java. There's HTML was actually the design. But beyond the HTML, whether it's the HTML or the CSS, whatever it is, that's just the code of the design. No. How about the actual software, which can be written in whatever language it is, whatever .NET or whatever.
It winds up being binary.
Yeah. So the point is that the technology is coming to teach us a lot about godliness. And even in code, there's different layers. And even the code is divided in different ways. And if you're not a coder, you don't understand anything. You just see the product, the end result. So we see each other's end product, we see the face. But Moshe Rabbeinu can look through the face. He doesn't look at the face. He sees the source code, the inside. So when Nehemiah says, V'ata mechayeh et kulam, it's referring to a very deep concept that we spoke about many times in other classes, that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is enlivening everything constantly. Right now, we don't see it because we're covered with the HTML, we're covered with the design, but there's a chayut, there's a life force that is enlivening me in many different levels. The body, the nefesh, the ruach, the neshama. Now, the chayut has a shape. It doesn't mean the neshama has a shape, rather I would call it now the code, the source code. You can see the shape. So the chayut of the soul, that can be translated as a shape. It's called tzura, but it's not really a shape. That's why if you're looking at the worlds, the worlds, the first world that there's many other worlds, but the four worlds that we're familiar with is, first one is Olam HaTzilut. In Olam HaTzilut there's no shapes or sizes or anything there. The first time that the world's getting some type of a definition is the world of Bria, in the world of creation. But then comes another world that is called Olam HaYetzirah. When I became observant and I started learning, I thought Olam HaYetzirah comes from the word in Hebrew litzor, to create, to form. But really it comes from the word in Hebrew tzura. Tzura is a shape. And in the world of Yetzirah, it's where everything gets some type of a shape. Then it goes to the world of Asiyah, that from a shape it forms, becomes a form. But in the world of Yetzirah, that's when everything will get some type of a shape, and the shape is not a triangle or a square. That's a definition. And this is called in Hebrew tzura. So when the prophet Nehemiah says, V'ata mechayeh et kulam, you are enlivening all means all the neshamot, which means all the neshama, every neshama has, so to say, a shape, a very unique shape. And there's no one soul that equals the other soul. And we're going to start learning that later on, that every line on my body, I have fingerprints, I have here, everywhere on my body there's lines. All my face is full of lines. This is, so to say, the barcode of the neshama. Because the neshama comes and it presses the body out. Without the neshama, the body, so to say, is flat and empty. The neshama, the soul comes into the body and it will, so to say, press the body out. So all the lines that I have everywhere, it's coming from my neshama. That's why you see that billions of people, there's not one fingerprint that is identical. All the fingers are completely different. Because the fingerprints, the lines in my body, and we're just looking at a fingerprint. How about the whole handprint? And just on the face, you know how many lines we're having on our face? Hundreds and hundreds of lines. And every line, it's not because I'm old. It's because that's what the neshama is expressing, and it presses against the body, so it will come out as a line. When you're really reading the lines on the face, it depends on the width of the line, the length of the line, where exactly it starts. So the souls are completely unique. It's like a trillion-digit barcode for every neshama. That's how unique our souls are. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one that is forming that. Our neshama is a very sophisticated being that the body looks like a prehistoric tool compared to the neshama. So the prophet Nehemiah says, "V'ata mechayeh et kulam." You are the one who is enlivening everything. You are the designer. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is the designer for every soul and their shape. And this is coming specifically by the Midah. When it says Ata, it's referring to the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is the feminine aspect of the divine. Then comes David HaMelech, and he says also in the book of Tehillim, and this is it can be found in chapter 3, verse 4, Ve'ata Adonai magen ba'adi. And you, Yud Kei Vav Kei, is the shield that surrounds me. Which means that the neshama is surrounded by some type of a shield that specifically is manifesting from the name of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. What does it mean? It means the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is called Hashem. She's the shield that is going around the body. And the reason why the Shekhinah here specifically is called Ata, we found it twice. The prophet Nehemiah says Ata, and David HaMelech says Ata. Twice that we find the word Ata, you, that is referring to the Shekhinah. Why Ata? Because Ata is the secret behind the last letter Hey of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. And the letter Hey is included Mikol HaOtiyot Me'alef V'Ataf. This last letter of Yud Kei Vav Kei Hey has in it the quality of all the letters. Now, if you're looking at the word Ata, it's not that the letter Hey is including the word. The word Ata starts with a Aleph, then it goes all the way to Taf, and then the Hey. So the word Ata includes all the letters in it, from Aleph to Taf, and referring to the last letter of the Hey of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. And the same way, as it says Ve'ata, it means that the Shekhinah is going to be able to see through every face and recognize the source code that we're talking about. And since Moshe Rabbeinu had the Shekhinah dwelling on him, this is called Ruach HaKodesh, then he was able to see what the Shekhinah sees. And therefore, like a good student, then he was able to learn it from him. I always say, Baruch Hashem, Hashem gave me talents in many different things. On Friday, the light here of the aquarium didn't work. And somebody took the switch and probably touched it and went into the water. So I don't like things when they don't work. So half an hour before Shabbat, I ripped it out, and I said, okay, let's see how I'm fixing this. And there was somebody here, and I started cutting and this and opening it up, and it's like dismantling a bomb. It was like half an hour before Shabbat. There's no time now. In my mind, I'm like, this is what you do in front of before Shabbat. There's much more important things. I'm like, no, but the place needs to look nice and lit up. So I took everything apart, cutting it in. Whoever was here was like, where did you learn how to do all this? So yeah, I got it working. So my grandfather was a very talented man. And if you've ever been to my house, there's this horse, that carved wooden horse. He built it from scratch with his own hands. It's unbelievable. Like he carved from wood a shape of a horse, big, it's massive. And it swings, and it's unbelievable. He was very, very talented. So I used to watch him all the time. Whatever he did, I used to just sit there and look. And just by looking, I picked up a lot of information. I just look. I didn't do it myself. And whether it was carpentry, whether it was electronics, whether it was whatever it was. And I was able, Baruch Hashem, to look and to mimic and to do it the same way. And just by looking. The same thing, Moshe Rabbeinu. And this is with everything. I would sit with somebody and see what he's doing and say, okay, now I got it. So Moshe Rabbeinu had the same idea. The Shekhinah was dwelling on him, and he saw what the Shekhinah is doing, and he learned the Chokhmah. Now, there's another explanation on the verse that it says, V'ata techezeh. V'ata techezeh mikolam. What's the second explanation? It's referring to Moshe, of course. And it says, "Vata techazeh v'tistakel beha." You're gonna lachazot. How did we say yesterday? Not glaze. Gaze. Gaze. This is techazeh, is to gaze into something. It's referring to Moshe that you should gaze specifically in the level of Chokhmah. Don't forget that Moshe Rabbeinu had a free pass going up and down. He didn't have a problem. He needed to go to check out what's going on in the sphere of Chokhmah, press a button, whoop, goes up, sees what's going on, coming down. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have a problem. It's not like us. Moshe Rabbeinu also only had to program when you need to go, to tap, goes up to Shamayim, looking around, comes down. The Moshe Rabbeinu, the other explanation that the Zohar says, Moshe Rabbeinu, go up to the sphere of Chokhmah, put in the elevator on Chet for Chokhmah, stop, go in, see what's going on there, and then come out. So it says, "Vata techazeh v'tistakel beha." You go up to the sphere of Chokhmah and look what's going on there. Ant v'la achara. You and nobody else, because nobody else will ever be able to do such a thing. Because why? Because you are the Merkava, you are the chariot specifically to the sphere that is called Da'at. And the Da'at is what feeds the Zeir Anpin. The Zeir Anpin is what's called the small face, but the small face is holding in it what's called Vav Kavim. Vav Kavim is 6 lines. 6 lines referring to the 6 Sfirot. And in that is the root, specifically in the Zeir Anpin, is the root of the 600,000 souls of the nation of Israel. You need to know something, you go to the root. Where is the root? You are rooted, Moshe Rabbeinu, in Sphira of Da'at. If you're looking at the order, Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at, and right above Da'at, there starts the 6 Sphirot. In the Zeir Anpin, all our souls are coming from all the different Sphirot. Each soul comes from a different Sphira. But that's where they're rooted from. 600,000 souls of the nation of Israel is rooted specifically in the Zeir Anpin. Therefore, you can go there, Moshe Rabbeinu, leminda ulistakla b'shit in ribo. You are able to go there, so to say, all the way into the database and see all the 600,000 souls, and to be able to pull out the information of each neshama, know everything about it, like a work, when you go to a work opportunity, you fill up your resume and you put references and you put all your places of work and your history and your qualification, and then somebody goes and looks at the resume and checks it out, calls the last places, how was he, was a good worker, and looks you up. Or you travel from one country to the other. Some countries, they can know everything about it. You go in America, all you need to you put your fingerprints and they know everything about you, who you are, where you came from, and they know every little detail. Yeah, Interpol. Same thing here. So Moshe Rabbeinu is the spiritual Interpol. He goes to the root and he's able to pull out from the roots of the soul all this information. Why are you becoming so prehistoric and looking at a face? Just go directly to the source. That's Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu is able to go there and look at all these 600,000 souls, which is called Partsufim. Every soul has a Partsuf, a face. And they're rooted specifically in these Vav Kavim. Vav Kavim is 6 lines, which referring to the 6 Sfirot, was called a Zeir Anpin, in order to know each and every one of them, everything about them, and also to decide who's going to be worthy to be a Sar, a minister in the nation of Israel. Now that we covered that, then Rabbi Shimon is starting to explain and to clarify the wisdom, the chokhmah, that is called chokhmat ha-partzuf, the wisdom of the structure of the face. And he says, Beshit sitrin itli stakla bidyuknin, divnei nasha. You have to look at 6 things when it comes to the shape of a human being. Ulemin da chokhmat al-buryeh. And you have to know this chokhmah perfectly. If you don't know it perfectly, don't even try, because you're going to mess it up. That's why if you remember that yesterday when we made a little introduction, we mentioned that there's a certain tzaddik that is called the Chokhmat Melech, the Mikdash Melech, that says that he is from the family Azulai from Morocco, one of the great tzaddikim of Morocco. And he said, you know him? No, it was Buzaglo? Azulai, no? You sure? So that's why I said things like you know him. But nevertheless, he says, no, we don't have enough information. Don't learn that. Don't learn this because you're for sure to make mistakes. But nevertheless, the Zohar says that you have to know the Chokhmah perfectly, completely perfect, because there are these 6 things that you need to look into are referred to, and they're corresponding to the 6 kavim, to these 6 lines. When a person has the ability to look in the root of these 6 points, then you know everything about the person. Inun, and what are they? What are these 6 things? The first one, besara. First one is hairs of the person. You have to look at the hair of the person. Why? Because the hairs of the person is rooted in the Sphira of Chesed. And not only that the Sphira of Chesed is also included in it, the 3 first ones, Chesed, Gvura, V'Tiferet. As it says, V'se'ar reishe ke'omer naki. Perush tzemer lavan. This is referring to that the hair of the head is like a clean vessel. That's why the hair is called tzemer lavan, white cotton. The second one that you have to look in, be'ainin, in the eyes. Because in the eyes of the person also holds a lot of information, because the eyes specifically are rooted in the Sphira of Gvura. And every person that, every chacham, every great sage that was in a very high level, all he needed to do is look with his eyes and finish it. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai came out of the cave, everything that he looked at started burning. So then he got a U-turn to go back into the cave. But not only Moshe Rabbeinu, many other chachamim, all they need to do is to look at something. And to look at something like Superman, remember he had these 2 beams coming out of his eyes. So where do you think Hollywood is getting all their ideas? So the great chachamim that had this ability only needed to look at something and that's it, finish with it. And of course on the other side, a person that is completely the opposite, the eyes are so vulnerable that the person can completely damage himself by looking at the wrong thing. Now we just mentioned the great sages, the great Mikubalim of Morocco. Look at the entire Buchatzera family. They're known of not looking, the Shmirat HaEinayim, to a point that this is their flagship. Why? Because whatever your eyes look, if you look at something more than a few seconds, you can damage your neshama for years, for decades, from just looking at something the wrong way. So specifically we said the eyes. Why? Because the eyes are rooted in the Sphira of Gvura. The third thing we need to look at is Chotama. Chotama is the nose. And the nose specifically is rooted in the Sphira of Tiferet. And this is the secret of the letter Vav. In the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei is specifically the Sphira of Tiferet, and the nose itself is rooted. And the rooted from the Sphira of Tiferet, and is the secret of the letter Vav. That's why Mashiach is going to have a very sensitive sense of smell. Just going to smell a little bit and knows everything. The fourth thing that one needs to look in is Sif Vavan. Sif Vavan is the lips. And specifically the lips are rooted in the Sfirot of Netzach and the Hod. That's why you have 2 lips, the top one and the bottom one. Netzach is the top lip and Hod is the bottom lip. And that's why you see many times people have a thick bottom lip, a thin top lip, 2 lips that are thick, 1 lip that is thick, small, big. So that's what I remember yesterday we talked about it, that I mentioned the eyes, the nose, the lips. The nose, there's big noses, small noses, long noses, wide. So the fourth thing a person needs to look at is the lips. The fifth one, be'apin. Apin is the entire face of the person. Long face, rounded face, flat face, big face, and so forth. Why? Because the face also is rooted from Netzach and Hod. Same 2 Sfirot. And not only that, both the face and the lips are considered one topic, one piece. And the last thing that a person needs to look is beyadin, in the hands. Why? Because the yadin, the hands of the human being, is the root of, it's rooted in the sphere of Malchut, and everything that will show that is rooted coming from the sphere of Malchut will be showing in the hands. V'hainu, and this means be'inun sirtutin deyadin, and we're talking about here the lines, and not only the shape of the hand. Some people have long nails, long fingers, short fingers, fat fingers, skinny fingers, fingers that are close to each other, fingers that are far away from each other, fingers that you see, like look at my pinky is very, very short compared to the middle one, to the index, and there's different heights of the fingers, but specifically looking at the lines on the hands. But there's two things, like I said. You're looking at the lines, that's one thing, but the shape of the hand, this is already referring to the bones. Like I told you, the height of the fingers, the width of the fingers, the structure of the entire hand, that's already corresponding to Chesed v'Gvura. It's nothing to do with Malchut. And then you have to, and again, every hand is saying something else. And these six things that were just mentioned, this is what we're referring to, that Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Yitro, you should look into it. If you look into it, you'll know everything that you need to know. Now we continue. Just a short commentary by the Ramak. אף על פי שיש עוד להסתכל בהרבה איברים אחרים כמו בדיקנה ובפה ועוד. The Ramak says, not only that, you have to look at many other things. It's not only these things. שיש בהם רמזים במידות האדם. Many other parts of the body will have hints of the midot, of the character traits of the human being. אלא שכאן לא ביאר רבי שמעון. Rabbi Shimon here in the Zohar did not go into these details. אלא אלו השישה פרטים והנכלל בהם הם כנגד הוו קווים. What we're talking about here is very general, specific what is included in the vav kavim. The 6 lines. ולקמן במאמר החברים מפרש 7 בחינות כנגד הזין תחתונות, and there's a different מאמר in a different part of the Zohar that the מאמר is called החברים, and over there he's explaining 7 parts of it and not 6, corresponding to the 7 midot התחתונות, which is חסד גבורה תפארת נצח הוד יסוד and מלכות. And specifically in the תיקוני הזוהר, it's referring to another part, and over there it's revealing all 10 sfirot, how that is corresponding to the body. Now Rabbi Shimon is continuing and is explaining, as it says, v'ata techazeh, that you should look into, meaning besara bikmitin demitzcha, and also beinun kritzin dal einin. You have to look at a few things. First of all, the hairs, then in the lines that you have in the forehead, then in the eyebrows. The eyebrows also make a lot of information specifically about the eyebrows. That's why it's not so recommended. Women sometimes they take all their eyebrows out and they sharpen them. They make all sorts of not good. I actually once wanted to make a class about that because it's very popular. Women, they do their nails and they poke hairs out and all sorts of things like that, and a lot of it is not good. Especially in the nails, there's a lot of problems in doing nails. The woman should not have the nails should not be long, and now they do all these things. They glue on it and all sorts of other stuff, and it's not good spiritually. And also when they file the nails, it's very not good. So I wanted once to make a class just to explain it, because this is I'll probably break the market. I'm gonna be assassinated maybe by the hand salons. What are you doing to us? So. But nevertheless, it's things that we need to know. But specifically, the eyebrows are very, very important. There's a lot of depth behind the eyebrows. I know a lot of people explain that the eyebrows are just the hairs that when you sweat, then the sweat should not go in the eye, and the eyebrow just diverts it to the side. But in the eyebrows, there's a lot of wisdom. And specifically, what is this? Nails. And let's see him tying his shoe. And specifically the eyebrows, because in the eyebrows it's part of the hairs. And maybe we'll dedicate a different class just to explain everything about the hairs. And not only that, he wants to say that you, Moshe Rabbeinu, can look directly into the hair and also the sirtut, the sketch of the lines of all the what we have on the face, that most people don't put too much attention to that. Rather, people look in the eyes of people and stuff like that. But specifically, Moshe Rabbeinu had the ability to look in the hairs of the human being. You know, even now in alternative medicine, specifically in Chinese medicine, they also know how to look in the hair and give you analysis. The acupuncture specialist can look at your tongue, can look at your eye. I used to go when I lived in New York. There was one guy that he was mamash very like top of the top in acupuncture, and I didn't believe it until one time it helped me. And he would always go and he would touch my hair, and he would go on my face. You know, it was very interesting to see how he's checking me out. And then he would check me out for 5 minutes, then a few needles, and voila. So Moshe Rabbeinu had the ability to literally look at the person's face, specifically at the hairs and the lines on the forehead and the eyebrows, and right away make an analysis. It's very useful for a job interview. But so it says here that many people, when they do want to look in this type of chokhmah, they will look in the eye or look at other parts of the body. But Moshe Rabbeinu had a much more sensitive level to look specifically at the hairs and the eyebrows and the lines. And the verse continues that Moshe Rabbeinu should look in this mikol am. Mikol am means that you have to look in the entire nation. What is the explanation? Be'aynin bedukin de'ena uvekmitin detechot ena. The next thing that one needs to look is the shade of the eye. We know of a few colors: green, blue, and brown. But even in the brown, there's many different shades. It's light brown, dark brown, the blue. There's many different types of blues. And to look not only in the color of the pupil, also at the white around. Some have a lot of white, some it's like a cream, some it's very dark, and so forth. And not only that, there's a lot of lines, a lot of not creases, how do you call it? Wrinkles. Have a lot of wrinkles under the eye and on top of the eye, where the ladies always, don't like the eyes starting with the lines. Yeah. 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 Nachon. And not only that, usually the ladies are not happy when there's too much lines, the creams all the time. But there's a reason why is that. If Sarah Imenu was 127 years old, she looked like a 20-year-old model because the neshama was radiating. She didn't look old. So the old age is coming not because of the passport age, rather because of what's going on with the neshama. But nevertheless, so we see in the eyes specifically the color of the pupil, the color of the white around, the lines underneath the eyes, and not only that, sometimes you see the eyes, they're glowing eyes, happy eyes, sad eyes, serious eyes, and so forth. And very easy to look specifically into the eyes and to see a lot of wisdom behind that. That's why it was referring to Moshe Rabbeinu that you should look in what all the nations are looking for. Look in the eyes, because the eyes, they have what's called a reshimo. If I look now at something holy, then my eyes will look completely different. I will look now at something unholy, the eyes will look completely different. Look at a person that reads out of the Torah. Next time you're in a shul, ask for I don't know if you'll necessarily see the difference, but look at the Baal Koreh before he reads from the Torah, look at the eyes, and then look at the face after he reads from the Torah, when he has his face stuck into the Torah for 40 minutes. and you'll see a very big difference in the eye, because the eye is gazing on something holy, and nothing more holier than the Torah. Take another person and let him look at a football game, look at the face before the football game and after the football game, and you'll be able to see difference in the eyes, in the shades, in if it's glowing, not glowing, the shape, and so forth. Now we continue. So it says, "Va'ata techezeh." You, Moshe Rabbeinu, should look in where specifically mikol ha'am, by all the nation, and then it continues and says, so you can why? So you can find the right people who are called Anshei Chayil. Anshei Chayil is the people. Anshei is people, and Chayil that are above the rest of the people. And Moshe Rabbeinu had to look in specific details. Specifically in the details, the who chela lemekam be'echal in the malka, that these specific people, that they're in a level that they can stand, so to say, and be accepted in the eichal, in the chamber of the king. Meaning, betzihivu de'apin, be'apin, bekmitu de'apin, birshimu devhu bedikna. You have to look also at the shade of the skin, if it's how yellow it is. I remember when one of my boys were born, then the mohel came and looked, and he says, we might not be able to do the brit, he's very yellow. And I'm looking and I'm like, yellow? I don't see anything. I don't see any. He's like, you don't see the yellow? I told him, I don't see nothing. So this is not a yellow like the color yellow, but many kids, they're born and they have this reaction, jaundice, in Hebrew called sahevet, and this also is a very big the reflection, the complexion of the skin. Now, not only that, not only the complexion of the skin, but also the strength of the face. Some people, they have very sharp, the face is very, very sharp. Some people, their face is more softer. Not only that, also the lines on the faces. Because some people, here it's hard to see with all the beard. Remove the beard, most people have lines here, next to the nose, next to the cheeks, here, dimples. Somebody once found out that I have dimples. What, you have dimples? I'm like, yeah, we'll try to figure out. Let's see if you can find a dimple here. But not only that, here is another thing, is the shape of the beard. It's called in Hebrew Hadrat HaZakan. And the shape of the beard, there is a few places in the Zohar that tells you everything. Look at the beard, it will tell you a lot about the human being. Long beard, short beard, wide beard, messy beard. There's a lot of types of beards, and where the colors are in the beard. Many people, it's black here, white here, black here. So very, very interesting. There is actually a ma'amar in the Zohar that explains there are many men that they have white hair and black beard, and white beard and black hair, white hair and white beard, black beard, black hair. There's all this has a lot of details behind it, and nevertheless, the shape of the beard says a lot. There's a lot of places. There's different books of Kabbalah actually that you can tell a lot about how the beard, and how the beard. A lot of people, they like cutting the beard, or trimming the beard, or brushing it. Sometimes you go to the mikveh in the morning, you see them brushing the beard, and so Baruch Hashem, they don't put any gels to make it like smooth. And my daughter always likes puts her face in my beard. She puts her face in it. I don't know, maybe some type of from being a baby, it comforts her. I don't know what it is. And sometimes she would, if I would talk to somebody that maybe smokes, or sometimes, believe it or not, food falls on the beard. So sometimes she would put her head and, ugh, stink, your beard stinks. And then if she would catch me after a shower, oh, now it's, it smells good, and she, like, as if like I'm a pet. So specifically, Moshe Rabbeinu had also the ability, but not only that, he was told, look in the shape of the beard. That will tell you also a lot about a human being. And why? It says here as a commentary, כי בהם ניכר אם האדם בן חיל וחוזק לבב. By the beard you can see if the person is what's called a ben chayil, elevated individual from the rest of the nation, and only that, how the strength of the person's heart, and he's worthy to stand in the chamber of the king. I mean, Moshe Rabbeinu, the Chachamim and the elderlies, the Zkenim that he appointed, they also had some Shechina on them. They also had Ruach HaKodesh. You know what it is to stand in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu? We think Moshe Rabbeinu is some guy that you can hang out with. Nobody could stand next to him. Very soon Mashiach is going to come. You think you're just going to be sitting and having a cup of coffee with Mashiach? So Moshe Rabbeinu, nobody was able to stand next to him. It actually says that when he came down from the mountain, his face was radiating so strong, nobody was able to look at him even. Moshe Rabbeinu had like a cover, a mask, 40 years. Nobody was able to see his face. And every time he would go into the tent, he would, like a convertible, put the mask off. It was more like the brides, they have this hinuma, a veil. And nobody was able to look at Moshe Rabbeinu, needless to say, stand next to him. How can you stand next to something so holy? So the elderlies that were around Moshe Rabbeinu, the manifestation of the Shekhinah also dwelled on them. They also became prophets. So nobody was able to stand next to Moshe Rabbeinu. And anybody who was, then he had to be in such a high level that Moshe Rabbeinu had to find the right individuals to be his crew, so to say, because they would be also invited in what's called Heichal HaMelech, in the chamber, in the hall of the king. This is not so far away from us. Mashiach is going to come. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to start looking at people and saying, okay, you'll be my advisor, you'll come to me, you'll come to me. He's going to start looking. That's when we're really going to see who's the real deal. Now, unfortunately, we have a lot of Erev Rav, we have a lot of fake people that are in power, and very soon the Mashiach is going to come. There's going to be a lot of embarrassing moments. Yeah, because Mashiach is going to start pointing at people, saying, you come to me, and everybody will be like, him? He's going to be your chief of staff? This little simple guy that we all the time thought that he's no good for nothing? And this big Rebbe suddenly will be like, no, you go. You can sweep the floor I'll call you when I'm done. So very soon, the Mashiach is going to come. There's going to be a lot of embarrassing moments. People, I always say in a joke, people are going to be jumping off roofs because that's it. The emet, the truth will be revealed. So there's not going to be where to hide from. So this is exactly what happened with Moshe Rabbeinu. There's nobody could get away with it. And Moshe Rabbeinu was able to look, and not only look, he had to appoint the right individuals, and he needed to know every little detail, specifically to know that person will be able to serve in this holy work, Avodat HaKodesh, and that will be appropriate for that person. Bezrat Hashem, we're going to leave off here. We'll continue tomorrow, a little bit more. But since we like to take things very practical, we don't only like learning nice terms. We like looking at things practical. As we have to understand that first of all, every act that I do, it does an impression on the outside. And needless to say that the Torah is promoting you to be honest and to be truthful and to be courteous and to be real. Emet. That's the bottom line. When Moshe Rabbeinu had the argument with Korach, everybody got swallowed into the ground. The sons of Korach did Shuvah. A little cliff came out and caught them because they were all falling into the hole. And the sons of Korach were saved. And you know what they said? They said, Moshe emet, v'torato emet. Moshe is the truth and the Torah is the truth. So the whole Torah is about truth. And we have to understand that everything that we do reflects outside. Now, maybe there's not going to be people who can look at my face and read it, but the energy that I produce is reflected outwards. And it's infecting, basically. That's why you sometimes see a certain individual will walk into a room and the energy of the room changes, for good or for bad. And some people, you can't stand next to them. You just say, I just can't stand that individual. Can't be around them. And some people you can't get enough. You're like, I just want to be next to that person, just to whatever. It doesn't have to even say anything. So the practical things that we want to take from that is how important is our behavior, because it's affecting everybody around me. So I have a wife, I have kids, I have students, I have neighbors, I have friends, whatever it is. My energy affects everybody, both to the negative and to the positive. And that's why very important practically to take from that I mean, we're not going to learn how to look at faces and hairs and to know. This is not why we're doing that. We're going to try to summarize it at the end of the Ma'amar to understand how I can recognize in me what needs to be refined. But nevertheless, from that I need to understand that every action that I do, if I lie throughout the day in my business, when I'm going to come home, I'm not going to be accepted and greeted with open hands. Right away there's going to be some type of friction with my wife. And right away there'll be some type of confrontation with my kids. Because the energy that I was producing is negative, is lying. And it will, so to say, radiate out. So right away it's going to pick up, everybody around it was going to pick up on this energy, and it will affect the surrounding. But on the other hand, I came home from a whole day of reading Torah, learning Torah, praying, helping other people. I'm going to walk home, the entire energy in the house will be completely different. Even if there's going to be a cause for an argument, it's not going to evolve into an argument. Even if there's going to be any cause for some type of a friction or anger, it's not going to happen. So the reason why I want to know about it, because I am responsible for everybody around me. I can come with my, excuse my language, my stinky mood, and it will affect everybody around me. That my friends will say, I don't want to be with you right now. You're annoyed. You're in a mood. You're grouchy, or whatever it is. So just from the mitzvah of Ahavat Israel, I need to understand that I am radiating, sorry. And if I come home and I had a bad day or whatever, sit down, 5 minutes, read some Tehillim, calm down, because you're about to walk into a room with a different energy. So this works in any situation. Even if you go something as simple, going into a job interview, then read some Tehillim before you go in, because you're changing your energy. A lot of my students, the followers, before they go on a date, they tell me, what should I do? I mean, how should I prepare for the date? I always tell them the same thing. Just sit and learn Torah. Don't be on the makeup 2 hours. Just put lipstick, takes exactly 3 minutes. Read and learn Torah. Read and learn Tehillim, because it clears all the energy. So even if you're coming with some junk throughout the day, at least it's not going to be radiating out. It's going to be more of a pure and clean energy. Therefore, we constantly have to refresh the energy of our body, because it's affecting everybody around us. Just to do it from the sake of Ahavat Israel. Needless to say that it solves a lot of problems. Mezrat Hashem, we should continue tomorrow, in Mertzeh Hashem. And in the meantime, should have the rest of a beautiful evening. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות, שנאמר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה ויאדיר.